Hey up everybody, my name's Joshua Morrison, director of Johnny Moz's Lessons in Confidence. Today I want to talk about those cringy moments that keep you up at night. You know, the things that you're sitting there, it's about 2 a.m, right? You want to go to bed and your mind's just replaying these events in your mind and going, oh, I can't believe you did that. I can't believe you said that. I can't believe you acted like that, right? And it just keeps replaying in your mind again and again and again. And you try and justify it to yourself as like, oh, but everyone else kind of goes through these things, so you know, it's okay, don't worry about it, right? And I thought in this video I would share 3 examples of when that has happened to me. 3 examples of moments that are replaying my mind. These are from years ago and I remember them, and they're keeping me up at night every now and then. And I figured this would be a way of just getting them off my chest a little bit. So the first one is, this is about 4 years ago, right? I was seeing this girl, right? And she showed me a music video that it involved, you know, some guys that actually looked a little bit sexy, right? And she was sort of saying, you know, I never get to see guys looking sexy in music videos, right? It's always about girls, tits and ass and all this sort of stuff. I never get to see decent looking blokes in music videos, right? And I remember thinking, you know, she's got a point actually. You never really see many good looking guys in music videos, right? So I was watching, I had a little bit of a Taylor Swift phase, right, about around this time. And I was really enjoying the song Look What You Made Me Do off of the Reputation album. This song's kind of infamous as being kind of bad, but I quite like the song. I still quite like the song, right? But there's this one moment about 3 minutes into the music video that it kind of haunts me a little bit. Whenever I see this bit in the music video, this cringy memory replays in my mind where I sat this girl that I was seeing down and I showed her, look what you made me do. And I was like, here's an example of something that you might like. Guys that look a little bit sexy in a music video, right? And I was doing it to sort of show, you know, here's another one for you. You know, it's sort of like trying to help her out a little bit, right? And I remember her face when we were watching it, right? And it's the bit about 3 minutes in where they're in some kind of like boutique hall sort of thing, and there's these guys that are kind of like Taylor Swift sort of like followers essentially. And I remember this one guy and he follows her around in almost this very steppy sort of lapdog kind of way. And then they start dancing, they do all the sort of that kind of dance, right? And I remember showing it to her thinking that she was gonna like this, right? And she turned and looked at me and was like, Josh, what the fuck is this? What is this, right? And now whenever I see that music video, I cannot help but remember that moment when I was trying to show her something that might engage her, right? That might, you know, is an example of another music video with some kind of sexy men in it. And it kind of felt like it reflected back on me as like, this is what I consider a sexy man to be. And I looked back and it's like, Jesus, they're not sexy at all, right? These are not some sexy men right here. Oh, you know? This is exactly what she didn't want. And I tried to show her it thinking that it was what she wanted. So I think why it's cringy to me isn't just that she was disappointed, it's a reflection of what I considered to be a sexy man, right? And that's what I was showing her. The most basic bitch sort of thing imaginable, right? The music video that she showed me was, it was Intrasport by King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard, where they're kind of a little bit, they're in a little house party situation. They kind of take their shirts off and they're having a bit of fun with it and they look a little bit sexy during it, right? But it's not like traditional sort of sexy, you know, like muscles, 6-pack, you know, covered in oil. They're kind of normal looking blokes, right? And I think that's what she found sexy about it. And I provided her the exact opposite of that. I presented her the problem and sold it to her as the solution. And I think that's why it sticks in my memory, and why whenever I see Look What You Made Me Do come up in, say like a music critic is reviewing something to do with like Taylor Swift's new album. There's a guy called Todd in the Shadows that I got back into watching recently because he did a review of The Fate of Ophelia, the new Taylor Swift song. And he did a review of it, and in one little bit he shows a little section of that moment, Look What You Made Me Do, and I saw it and I was like, oh God, it's all coming back to me, right? So that was all over a music video, right? And it just sticks in my memory, right? And I think what's key here is to try and isolate what it is that you find to be a little bit cringy about the situation, right? Because I think if you can figure that out, that can help you to soothe yourself down and to remind yourself that it is okay to be a little bit cringe sometimes, that it will happen to you. It happens to the best of us, right? So the next one is also kind of to do with King Gizzard and Elizabeth. I got her into the band, right? And she started to get more into the band than me. But before that, I was working in a pub, right? And I had an Australian boss, right? Who I was trying to get along with, and I wasn't doing a great job of it, right? I found him a little bit intimidating. He's a really nice guy, but he's very, big personality. And I felt like a very small personality at the time. And I was just trying to, relate to him in some way. So when I found out he was Australian, at one point he kind of asked me what kind of music I like. And I tried to relate to him. He was like, oh, I love Australian music, right? And he was like, oh, sick, mate, what kind of stuff do you like, right? And I said, and this is the second cringy memory that really sticks with me, I said verbatim, oh, you wouldn't really have heard of them. They're kind of this indie band that no one's heard of called King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard. And I said the full name like that. And he didn't speak, he didn't respond. He just kind of got back to his work. And after that, it was just this bad air just lingering over me. I was like, that sort of thing that's like, there's that stereotype of like the moustache man, right? Which I'm terrible for, I've got one, right? Who's being kind of like, oh, you wouldn't know it. It's really underground. You wouldn't have heard of them. That's what I did. I did that exact thing. And I can't believe that I did that exact thing. And it just still, it keeps me up at night. And I think that's why I fell into that stereotype of that hipstery kind of guy that thinks he's above it all and he listens to music that you wouldn't have heard of. You wouldn't appreciate them, sort of thing. So it really, that second one really sticks with me, right? Whenever I remember it, it just sends a shiver down my spine. And I remember at the time, it was on my mind for a long time. And I was this close to bringing it up with him and apologizing. And I'm glad that I didn't, because that would have been another cringy memory, right? That would have made it even worse, because he probably didn't even remember it. He didn't even think about it. He didn't clock it, right? It was just a little, sort of thing. And he just got back to his work. It didn't really stick in his mind, I don't think, but it really stuck in mine. And if I had brought it up to him and apologized for it, he wouldn't have known what I was talking about. And then that means that I have to try and explain this whole situation, right, to my boss. And I'm glad that I didn't do that, right? Sometimes it's best to not apologize for your cringy behavior, because you need to recognize it on like an objective level of cringe, right? If you get really drunk, right, and you take your shirt off and you're flailing all around and you say some really dumb shit, right, and I don't know, you piss in the sink, right, you need to apologize for that. That's pretty objectively pretty cringy, right? Ooh, if you woke up from that, ooh, it would not be nice, right? But this, right, subjectively, it made me feel cringy. It made me feel like a hipstery sort of stereotype, right? And I'm sure that's what was being conveyed in that moment, right? But his reaction was pretty, on par for what you would expect in that situation. Just, oh, okay. Didn't really think much of it and got on with his life, right? So it's key to not over worry, right? Because if you over worry and you think you need to put this to rights, right? If I had put that to right, if I had attempted to put that to right, I would have made it a lot more wrong. So I'm glad that I didn't do that. That's the key here, is to just understand the cringy situation to yourself, so that it makes it okay in your mind, right? That's key here, to be comfortable with yourself despite your cringy behaviors, right? And then that thing that I mentioned of like taking a shirt off and flailing it around, saying a load of dumb shit while you're drunk, right? No, I don't think I ever really did too much of that while I was drunk, right? I mean, I remember when I first started drinking when I was about 17, 18. I say 18 for the sake of it. I remember I went to one of my first house parties, and I remember I really told this long, rambly story, right? And I ended up throwing up all over the guy's carpet and then apologizing a load. And then I went to sleep in his bathtub, and then I threw up in the bathtub, right? I remember I got up in the morning, and I can't remember if I cleaned it. I hope I did, but I just left, right? I try to sort of block that, but for some reason that doesn't make me cringe retrospectively nearly as much as the previous example, right? despite it being objectively a more cringeworthy situation, right? I think we can all agree that, but I think there's context to it. The fact that I was really young and stupid and drunk, I think helps it out a little bit and makes it a little bit less bad, right? Compared to the other one where I was a full-fledged adult, completely sober, saying something just full-on stupid, right? So I think what's clear here is that there are two types of cringeworthy situations. There's the ones that are cringeworthy just to yourself, where it's your own sense of self-judgment that's getting in the way and making you, that's the blockade between you and the social situation. There's the ones where it's you that is the cringeworthy situation here, and it's only you that finds it cringeworthy because of your self-judgment and your harshness towards yourself and a level of self-loathing. And then the objectively cringeworthy situations where it's clear to everyone that you acted like a bit of a cringeworthy tit, right? And I think that it's healthy to have some of both, right? It's healthy to have been in these situations, right? We've all done stupid shit in our lives, right? We've all done dumb shit when we're young. We've all done dumb shit even as we grow up, right? I mean, I've done some pretty dumb shit recently, right? It's okay to say cringeworthy things from time to time, because the key here is that in both of those situations that I mentioned, right, the one where it was sort of showing that girl I was seeing, that music video of Look What You Made Me Do, and the one where I spoke about King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard to my boss, right, they're not going to remember these situations. They don't remember it, right? If they watched this video for whatever reason, they would probably not know what I'm talking about because they wouldn't remember it, right? But I bet for both of them, there's something that I did that they actually do remember as being cringeworthy that I don't remember at all, right? So that's the key here, is your level of self-loathing and your self-judgment upon who you are from inside your brain is not the most reliable source of information, right? This is the same reason that you can't put source, I just know it, in an essay, right? You have to actually source something from somewhere, right? That's why primary sources are so useful, right? Because it's not you, right? If you saw, I don't know, a terrorist attack, right? And then you had to write about a terrorist attack and you just use source, I just saw it, right? It wouldn't be great. But if you were to, I don't know, give some kind of interview, right? Or respond to an email of some questions from a student who was writing about that terrorist attack, then you would be more of an authority on it. At least that's my kind of perspective. So I hope that makes some level of sense. You're going to do cringeworthy shit in your life, right? It's completely unavoidable, right? It's the same way with driving, right? If you drive, right, you're gonna piss someone off. It does not matter how great a driver you are going to piss someone off, right? You're either overconfident, you're underconfident, you're exactly the right level of confidence, right? Let's say you're exactly the right level of confidence, right? To other people, you'll be over or underconfident, right? There is no way of living that is going to please everybody. And you shouldn't expect that. You shouldn't strive to please everybody, because all that happens then is that you become this kind of tepid sort of individual that then in turn people don't like, right? Because you're just tepid and uncontroversial and you have nothing of interest to say because you're not willing to take a risk to ever occasionally be seen as cringeworthy, right? These situations where I feel like I was being cringeworthy are just me putting my own sense of personality on the line. And where the cringeworthiness comes in is from within, where I'm judging my own self and my own interests, right? So it's okay to be cringeworthy sometimes. It's okay. So don't worry so much about it. It'll get forgotten to time, right? I mean, they can't be that bad if I'm putting them out on camera like this, right? So that's pretty much it from me. Thank you very much for watching this video, everybody. I hope you managed to get something out of this. Let me know your thoughts and let me know of a cringeworthy situation that's stuck in your head that's kind of similar to the examples that I provided here. Let me know of a situation where you feel like you were being cringeworthy, but realistically you probably weren't. Something that keeps you up at night, something that keeps you, like, say you're up now at 2 in the morning watching this video on your phone, you really should be going to bed because you've got work at 8 in the morning, right? You should be going to bed, but this situation is keeping you up, so you're watching this video to distract yourself from all the cringeworthy shit that's keeping you up at night, right? You just want a voice so that you're not thinking from within. You just want a voice to drown out your inner voice, right? let me know what's in that inner voice in the comment section, right? And we'll probably find that we all do cringeworthy shit, right? And that my examples are no more or less cringeworthy than your examples, right? And that we all do cringeworthy shit from time to time. And hell, even the amount of times that I've said cringeworthy in this video is kind of cringeworthy in and of itself, right? So it's okay. It's all right to feel like this. It's all right to be cringeworthy once in a while, right? Because no one's judging you for these things other than you. Everyone else has forgotten about them. So that's it from me. Thank you very much for watching, everybody. Take care. Bye-bye.